Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. Week 2 of the NFL is complete. Week 3 of the NFL is complete. And we're off to week 4 of the NFL. I'm Spitface. Please welcome our host of the First Lady of Sports Talk, Cheryl Smith. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, good morning. I mean, we're just rolling along. We're already in week 4 of the NFL.
So now it's like the eyeballs is focused. This week on Shout Out, we have performances from Siyiid. Will he find his shining star or get the cold feel of the mute button? First Lady, we're ready. What you saying?
Each week, we try to figure out what is going on in the sports world. Not the plays of the week, more like the players of the week. Are they trying to tell us something? So we ask, what you saying? Fly, little birdie, fly. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. So I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I want to fly right into the future. The little birdies known as the Dallas Cowboys wish they could fly far, far away from a losing record after back-to-back losses at their home stadium. Ouch! Once again, the Cowboys are a question wrapped inside an enigma. Everyone has got paid on the Cowboys. Is it showtime? Usually we could say, fortunately for the Cowboys, they are playing another losing team, the Giants, and they always win against teams with losing records. Would a loss to the Giants and 3 losses in a row spell doom for Coach Mike McCarthy? Would a win by the Giants vault them into contention for the NFC East? Marvelous Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., and the Steve Miller Band are asking, what you saying? All right, normally the Cowboys are a great regular season team, and they kind of flounder in the playoffs. So far, 3 weeks into the season, they have been terrible the last 2 games. The Saints and the Ravens have run all over the Cowboys. They can't stop a nosebleed. The Cowboys have given up 557 rushing yards in 3 games. They gave up 93 to the, I forgot who they played first. Anyway, regardless.
Ravens?
No, they didn't play the Ravens first. They won the first game. Oh, the Browns. They gave up 93 yards to the Browns, 190 yards to the Saints, 274 rushing yards to the Ravens. And that's where they get that 557 from. I mean, that is the last 2 games have been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they were completely blown out by the Saints. The Saints had 4 touchdowns in the first half, ended up winning the game 44-19. Last week against the Ravens, the Cowboys played lackadaisical for the first 3 quarters. They were not prepared for this game. Their offense was stymied. They had turnovers. Their defense couldn't stop the run. However, they showed some fight in the fourth quarter to make it a game. Now, if the Cowboys lose to the Giants, it will put Mike McCarthy on the hot seat. And this is like every year he's on the hot seat. But we know Jerry Jones. He really, for some reason, he doesn't like too much on change. He keeps the same, he'll keep the same coach. And I don't think McCarthy, even though he will be on the hot seat, but I don't think he has to worry about Jerry firing him in season. I don't see Jerry Jones ever firing a coach in season. But trust me, if they don't turn it around, he will be fired after the season. And it speaks volumes that Jerry has not renewed McCarthy's contract, and the entire coaching staff contracts have not been renewed. So it tells you, look, he's a dead coach walking. That's what it tells you. I mean, the game against the Giants is so important for the Cowboys. I mean, they have to win that game, Spitface. If they don't win that game, let me tell you something. The Cowboys are really, really in trouble, and they probably really won't make the playoffs because their upcoming schedule is not easy. Their next 3 games are the Steelers, and who would have thought that the Steelers would be 3-0? But they are 3-0, so you have to believe their record. Then they play the Lions and then the 49ers. Now, of course, the 49ers are hurt, but still, they're still a good team. The Lions, they've been up and down this season, but they're still a good team. So this game against the Giants, my goodness, I mean, you're talking about to determine if you're going to make it to the playoffs. It's a possibility. If they don't win this game against the Giants, they will not be in the playoffs. And that is a real big concern for Jerry Jones, even though he's responsible for some of this problem that the Cowboys are having now. Because instead of being a owner and stay in his lane, he is the GM and everything wrapped up and running the Cowboys. And that's a major problem. He needs to sit his behind down, let his son run the show, and that's what he needs to do. But anyway, now let's switch it to the G-Men. The G-Men, the Giants, the football Giants. Now, if they win the game, I mean, come on. I'm not even considering that they are in contention for the NFC East. I don't think so. I mean, give Giants kudos that they've won. I think what their record is 1-2 or 2-1. I got to look at their record, but give them kudos. I think they're 1-2. They won 1 game. That was the only game they won last week. So give them kudos for winning a game because a lot of people even think they would even be able to sniff winning a game. But let's not get crazy to think that the Giants are a good team. They are very pedestrian with Daniel Jones as their quarterback. So, I mean, Daniel Jones is not the answer. They know he wasn't the answer, but they had to sign him because they didn't have another option at that point in time. They decided to sign Daniel Jones and let Saquon Barkley walk, which was crazy because everybody knew Saquon Barkley was the Giants' offense. It wasn't Daniel Jones. So, I mean, the Giants screwed this whole situation up. They made a big mess out of this team. But I mean, they're not in contention for the NFC East. I mean, the teams that are in contention for the NFC East are the Eagles, that will be number 1, and the Commanders, to me, are number 2 with Jaden Daniels as the quarterback. I mean, we gave him a lot of kudos for the week he had last week, but let's see if he can continue. But I think they have a better shot than the Giants. And the Cowboys, well, who knows what's going to happen to the Cowboys at this point in time. So we'll see. But, the Giants, let's say, they're in no contention. And I'm telling you, I don't know about them Cowboys, because we ain't going to say how about them Cowboys, because them Cowboys are in trouble. All right, Spitface, over to you.
Jerry Jones has never fired a coach in season. Which is probably good management. But if they lose against the Giants, I don't know. And they have paid Dak. I mean, they just rolled up the Brinks truck, as they say, and just filled up his bank account. And losing, one of the parts of being the quarterback is that when you got to take you the main man, you the losses, everybody look to you. And if the defense ain't got it that day, they expected you to score enough to compensate for that. So that might be a little bit unfair. But hey, you the man with the big money. Mike McCarthy has been playing. There's nothing different this year with the Cowboys than any other year with Mike McCarthy. Some minor adjustments, a new coordinator, new linebacking, some adjustments. But this is not new. And of course, the Dallas Cowboys suffer from high expectations from their fans 24/7. 24/7. So, where they would not be the first team to start the season 1-2 and end up, competitive. But competitive ain't what the Dallas Cowboy fans, the Cowboy Nation, that ain't what they want. Super Bowl, and they have been consistently disappointed. Now, the Chicago Bears are not the Dallas Cowboys. Sometimes we Bear fans wish that we could at least be a Dallas Cowboy. But I go, no. We'll just take stumbling and bumbling Bears, because see, we can appreciate when they start finally doing something and winning and being competitive. Now, we had to take some long long times in the valley waiting for it to happen, but it do. And what I point to is the Bears have been to the Super Bowl. Not as many times as the Cowboys, but more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. And that's been 20 years. So, this expectation based on an era when the Cowboys had, let's see, they had a Hall of Famer at wide receiver. They had a Hall of Famer at running back. And they had a Hall of Famer at quarterback. When you look at do you see Hall of Fame running back, Hall of Fame receiver, and Hall of Fame quarterback? Now, Dak, the potential could definitely be there. Right now he got, but that is the combination that had them, and a defense that had Hall of Famers. So, that is what the last time the Dallas Cowboys were threatening. They had that kind of combination. Now, you don't get that combination come easy, but the Dallas Cowboys nation keep thinking that they can do it that way. And Jerry Jones been meddling. This is, as I said, the same old Cowboys. They'll get better players, but it's going to be the same Cowboys. Now, and that is why they will remain a question wrapped inside of an enigma, hidden down the river, going over the mountain hill. Now, and everyone has gotten paid, so the Cowboy Nation go, come on, produce. Everybody should be happy, giddy. We all getting money, but they ain't getting the winning. But that ship can be righted, and normally, now firstly, this is a scary game for me, because I'm like, it's like, if I go by the trends, Cowboys don't lose 3 in a row. Okay, so we got that trend. Then we got the trend of, hey, losing record teams, Cowboys, even if the Cowboys got a losing record, they'll beat a team with a losing record. So that's kind of like, but it's just like, they are just so weird. This season is like, well, which because, they got the players, they got talent. There's no difference in the coaching, and they're not particularly playing other teams that have, like flown in some great wizards. So what's up? And so it's scary. It's scary. Now, the Giants, First Lady, you are 100% correct. Giants beat the Cowboys. They should celebrate, and they should see if they can stop the season right now. And they just say, okay, we beat the Cowboys at the end of the season. We'll catch you next year. You know, and because they are bound for a high draft pick. And they need them because they ain't going nowhere. So they might as well get some good draft picks and see if they can build them a team. But they're one of those teams that whether they win or lose, they're gonna be the same. Which is at the bottom of the NFC East, getting a high draft pick at the end of the season. That's all I'm saying. Cowboy Nation.
Yeah, it's some Cowboy fans. I tell you, they always got hope, and it was so sad because as badly as they played, they came back in the fourth quarter, and they gave them some hope. But that's all they always do for their fans is give them hope, and they never, it never comes true for the Cowboys fans. So we'll see. Yeah. All right, Face, over to you.
The Bears have been to the Super Bowl more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, rocking my peers, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, overpowering, over the competition I'm towering. Wrecking shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that all get sliced and diced competition, paying the price. Mama said knock you out, huh? We are talking about the knockout punch, possibly to the career to a T, when he received a third concussion during Miami's loss to the Bills. Should Tua take the money and run while his brain is still inside his head? Should Miami start looking at trades that will get them the number one pick in next year's draft and get a new franchise quarterback? Can the Dolphins make the playoffs without Tua at the helm? Leave the Buck Leonard and James Cool Papa Bell. I ask him what you saying. First Lady, one thing you want to football is a brutal game, and those who play it, it has to be more than the money because it's a brutal game. You have to like playing football. You have to go, I'm glad I'm getting paid because I like to play this anyway, and I just go out and play it. So you really do. You can't just, well, this is the money, because those bangs and injuries and things that happen, it's got to be more than the money. Now, there's a point where it's about the money, because it is a business, it is your future, and it is your wallet. And there are, a broken bone will heal and you can tell. But those head injuries and the effects of concussions and the compounded, nothing looks good. The more research they do, the more it's like, well, you don't want to have too many of those. Now, we can say that that's common sense, that you don't want to have too many of those. You don't want to have your leg broken 3, 4, 5 times either. And if that happened, even though the leg would heal, as they say, it will never be the same. Okay, so imagine your brain having that happen to it, like a much more delicate part of your body. Now, that's a personal, individual decision. But, in some ways, because of the professionalism of the sport, it's a team decision as well as a player decision. It really, because you have to be responsible for the well-being of your employees. And you may not be willing to allow them to risk themselves. The NFL may say, look, we really can't, we have to look at this. So it's a complicated issue. But Tua, if you took that money and ran, I say, brother, I don't blame you. And that chunk of change you got, hey, that may, you might always wonder what it could have been, but you won't be hurt. You won't be hurt. So, good luck. Good luck. And as far as Miami, y'all got to do something, because I don't see them being in the playoffs without Tua T. Everything is just too much designed around them. And who's going to really step in? So, and given the situation, y'all got to be looking at a replacement, either in the draft or, some kind of, next year's trading, Kirk Cousins already gone. But y'all, now, whoever, if y'all could get somebody with some good talent with the players y'all got, but this year they need Tua. First lady, what you say?
Well, I mean, the Miami Dolphins, they're just a jinx team with Tua as their quarterback. I mean, last year he did not have one concussion, which really gave them the intel to offer him an extension. I mean, that's the reason why they waited so long to give him the extension, because they didn't know where he was with, they had a lot of concerns regarding his concussion. So I think they waited like a week before training camp began to give him to give him an extension. And, they gave him a hefty contract, 4 years, $212 million. And, I mean, they were very concerned. Now, the second game of the season, he has another terrible concussion. And it's from a hit that wasn't even considered harsh. And ironically, it was a hit from Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin was the cornerback for the Bills that had that cardiac arrest on January 2nd, 2023. I mean, literally, he died on the field, and they had to resuscitate him back. So it was so significant about Hamlin being the person that hit Tua, because the question is, should Tua take the money and retire? Well, let's look at Damar Hamlin, because basically he didn't take the money. I mean, he's still playing, and this man died on the field and was resuscitated, and he's still playing. So do I expect Tua to retire? No, I expect that he will come back after, he discusses it with his family and reaches out to medical team. I mean, the only way he will retire if the medical team tell him that he can't play again. And I don't see any neurologist telling a football player that, because that's something that they can't predict, whether or not he's going to have another concussion or not. I mean, obviously he's prone to it. When he gets them bad, because he does that spastic with his hand and his arms. I mean, he gets hit, and that's what happens to him. So his concussions are very severe in nature. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to retire. So, he'll come back. The Dolphins placed him on the IR list, and he has to miss at least 4 games, and that's what, he'll do. He'll miss the 4 games, and that gives him enough time to make those decisions. Now, the problem for the Dolphins, their quarterback, Skylar Thompson, who came in the season as Mike Daniels' backup quarterback. And people are starting to question his decision to have Skylar Thompson as the backup quarterback, because, he also got injured against the Seahawks. He has bruised ribs, possibly fractured ribs. But I think they ruled out fractured ribs, but he still has sore ribs. And he more than likely will not play. And the problem is he didn't even play well prior to his injury. He was actually horrible. And that's the backup they had to determine that they were going to have for Tua. Knowing Tua's history, you would thought that they would have a much more seasoned backup quarterback to take over if something happened to Tua. So, they just recently signed Tyler Huntley. They also had Tim Boyle as their backup, and he was actually the third string quarterback. So they signed Tyler Huntley. So the Dolphins coach, he really hasn't designated a starter for Monday night national televised game. So it's not clear, I mean, we talk about, should they get you trade up to get a draft pick to draft a quarterback. I mean, it's unclear if the Dolphins should do that. I mean, you have to consider if Tua can't return or if he retires. If Tua retires, then yes, they should do that. They need to just, they would lose. They're going to lose, and they should just draft a high-ranked quarterback. But that's if he retires. Now, if he doesn't retire, no, they shouldn't do that because you've given all that money to Tua, so you have to continue to hope that he can play. And I think at this point in time, what the Dolphins should do, I really think they should trade for a seasoned quarterback, somebody like Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jameis Winston, to help push them to the playoffs and to have a backup quarterback if Tua gets hurt again within this season. So that's what I think they should do. And no, if Tua doesn't come back, they don't have a shot at the playoffs. They don't have a shot at the playoff with their current depth chart when it comes to the quarterback. Because I still don't think Huntley's going to do it. I don't think Boyle will do it. Even if Skylar Thompson comes back, I don't think he can do it. That's why I'm really thinking they need to trade or sign Ryan Tannehill because he's not on team. So they need to either get Ryan Tannehill, he can come back to the Dolphins, or trade for Jimmy G, or even Jameis Winston. I mean, Jameis Winston, I think, to me, would be a great person for the Dolphins. So I really believe they had one of those three, they can still make the push for the playoff. Because so far in the AFC, the teams have not been that great. I mean, let's look at the Jaguars are 0-3. The Bengals are 0-3. The Raiders are, 1-2? The Chargers are 1-2. So, I mean, there's no teams. I mean, besides for the front runners, there's no teams that are going to be good to get that wild card. So, I mean, so that's why I'm thinking the Dolphins can really, if they get a seasoned quarterback, they can still push for the playoffs. So, anyway, like I said, I just think trying to draft a young quarterback is premature. But anyway, the thing is, Tua and the Dolphins, they have career and organizational decisions that's going to impact both of them for years to come. All right, Spitface, I mean, there's some trouble in Dolphin land.
Yeah, First Lady, you said they just got, you wonder, do we have to bring in one of those witch doctors to lift the spell because they can't get a break, And all right, but Jameis Winston or Ryan Tannehill to the Dolphins, there would be a conversation. There would be a conversation. Please take us to break.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, we have a performance from Siyiid on Shout Out Part 1.
The music flows in from around the globe to get a shout out from the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from Siyiid.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If you like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout-out. Now, if we don't like it, we hit the mute. Today, we are featuring music from Siyiid out of Philadelphia from his hit album, Note to Self. They say Philly-born hip-hop songwriter pens a message into every song, something you can relate to, something you can vibe with, something to sharpen your perspective, whether it's about faith, wisdom, love, or aspiration. All right, DJ, let's hear Dead Kings.
Graveyard full of dead dreams, rolling in the grave in a dead scream, trying to breathe life in the dead things, too many empty thrones for the dead kings. Graveyard full of dead dreams, voices in my head I can hear scream, go and breathe life in the dead things, too many empty thrones for the dead kings. They singing times of the essence and through it the pain lessons. When you done stressing, make sure that you learn a lesson. Better not, better the open stage of depression. Learn, love, and live it, don't live it for their impression. Also learn to live in the moment and love the present. Live it like a king and don't live it like you a peasant. Bad choices, stinging results could be unpleasant. Polish to the pit in an instant in 1 second. Or pit to the polish depending on what the message. You abide by what you listen to when confessing. In your mind's eye, you gotta see where you headed up. Living legend of someone living with less than their preference. But hold on, I just need a minute to preface. The first step is use your imagination and stretch it. And what you left with, don't discard it or discredit. A small beginning, just a commencement of something precious, right? Graveyard full of dead dreams, rolling in their grave in a dead scream, trying to breathe life in the dead things, too many empty thrones for the dead kings. Graveyard full of dead dreams, voices in my head I can hear scream, go and breathe life in the dead things, too many empty thrones for the dead kings. Some are dead on their feet or dead in their bodies. Every dead king ain't always dead in the alley. Some dying while they out chasing the Maserati and running to the Reaper that meet him for the finale. God's playing that he ain't see me and walk by me. Another king laid, just call it another homie. Or a virus ravaged his body from the Punani after one too many times of him dipping out with his Tatiana. And I ain't judging nobody, I ain't no Dalai Lama. I got a truckload of baggage I left behind me, I'ma leave it where I left it. I've been my biggest skeptic, development been arrested. It's relevant that you pressing. Remember, focus can only yield back that what you invested in. And what you make a priority, such a precedent. And even if the majority say you'll never clinch, what you seeking for, you keep on reaching and never quit. Never fulfill every purpose I was created for. Now follow every passion in my heart. Now be a light unto the world, salt unto the earth. Graveyard full of dead dreams, rolling in their grave in a dead scream, trying to breathe life in the dead things, too many empty thrones for the dead kings. Graveyard full of dead dreams, voices in my head I can hear scream, go and breathe life in the dead things, too many empty thrones for the dead kings.
Hello, First Lady.
Right, I'm sorry about that. All right, that was Siyiid. All right, okay, yeah, he has some vibe with his rapping. I'm going to shout it out. Thought he had a great flow to his lyrics, and I thought it was good. Were you shouting out, spit face, or you hitting the mute?
I'm giving the brother Siyiid a shout out. He had I thought a smooth groove and really a powerful message. As you said, he likes to put some message into what he doing, and he was true to what he said. So I'm shouting him out.
All right. Okay. So on part 2 of Shout Out, we'll feature some more music from Siyiid, and we'll see if he can continue with his great messaging and vibe. All right. Is that the sound of our favorite underwater friend? It's time for Flip It.
All right, it is time for Flip It, where our hosts defend the point and then flip the script and defend the opposing view. The Minnesota Vikings are sitting pretty at 3-0. Are they early pretenders or contenders? Defend. They are early pretenders. They have some tough games on the horizon. First Lady, this is this is still early in the season. They're 3-0, and they're looking at, can they go 4-0? Can they win the next game? And the next game will really tell if we got us some pretenders or contenders. And that's because they'll be playing the Packers. And they'll be playing the Packers in Green Bay. And the Cheeseheads is pretty darn good. And really, other than the Bears, the NFC North could end up being a really strong division. Now, one thing about Minnesota, they let Kirk Cousins go. So my expectation was that they would probably stumble around. But Minnesota, the Vikings are one of those teams. They're almost like the Dallas Cowboys, but without all the theatrics. Where they put good teams together, they bring in good coaching staffs, and they're pretty darn competitive all over the years. There aren't too many seasons where the Minnesota Vikings were the worst team in the NFC or the worst team in the, like they haven't been getting those number one picks, like the number one pick. As a pattern. So they've always had either, I'm going to say, a slightly winning team or a really good team. And so they're always like true to form. But so this season, given that they have allowed their quarterback to make an exit and go over there to Atlanta, I'm looking at it and I'm going, sooner or later, that's going to catch up to them. And, they shot to the top. But right now, I think they some early pretenders. First Lady, early pretenders. First Lady, defend.
Well, the Vikings, obviously they're off to an excellent start with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. People still don't believe they are real contenders. I mean, number one reason is because they're figuring that Sam Darnold is going to revert back to the quarterback bus that he was with the Jets and the Panthers. With the Vikings, like you said, they were always contenders. Like with Kirk Cousins, last year they fell apart because Kirk Cousins got injured, and they couldn't. The team and the backups just couldn't get them into the playoffs. I think they lost like 5 games in a row, something like that. That really knocked them out of the playoffs last year. This team. How can we expect them to really be contenders? They're going to show who they really are. And I really think it is dependent on Darnold. He's the one that has to be that leader, and he hasn't done it his whole career. And, he's doing it now, but, hey, if you got to rely on Sam Darnold to get you to the playoffs, that's going to be very, very difficult for the Vikings. They have some playmakers, and they had, but they've always been kind of pretenders. They get you to the point, but then they just never did well in the playoffs. So the 3-0 start now. To me, it's still showing how the Vikings have been for the last several years. They start off well, and then they fizzle at the end, or even if they fizzle to the point they don't get to the playoffs, or even when they get in the playoffs, they lose that first game in the playoffs. So Sam Darnold is not Kirk Cousins. He's been a very mediocre quarterback his entire life. He was a bust. Now, sure, he was with teams that were not great, but this team has playmakers. So I expect them to go down to the end, but it's just something is going to go wrong with this team. It always happens. So I still think they are pretenders, and we'll continue to see whether or not Darnold can do it. If he does it, it'll be the first time in his whole career, and I just don't see him being that person. And I think that's the major thing with this team is whether or not Sam Darnold can continue to be an outstanding quarterback he's shown for the first 3 games. But I'm not going to bet my house on that. All right, over. That's it for me.
You ain't gonna bet your house on that. And please note, the description that First Lady presented sounded sort of like the Dallas Cowboys. All right, okay. All right, but this is flipping where we flip the script and defend the opposing view. The Vikings are contenders early and for the rest of the season. And First Lady, the number one reason is defense. That old-fashioned, aspect of the game. If you got a good defense and an offense that can put up some points, you are a contender. And with Sam Darnold, without Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings have enough pieces on offense, and their defense is steadily improving, where they're gonna be in it. It's gonna go down to the wire. Now they might crash and burn at the end, but they will be contenders. They are contenders now. They'll be contenders midway through the season, and they'll be contending all the way to the end. It's going to be fireworks in the NFC North. It is going to be fireworks because they're going to be the way the schedule makers put a lot of the action for the NFC North teams, where they start having to play each other really heavy, is in the second half of the season. And with games that are like not back to back, but play and then play another team and then come back and play that team again. So it's gonna be some football played, and they gonna be contending to the end. First Lady, please defend.
the Vikings, let's face it, the Vikings are contenders. You are what your record says you are. I mean, people forget, Sam Darnold was a number 1 draft pick. I think he was number 1 or number 2 draft pick for a reason. I just think he was on bad teams that did not know how to build a team around him. On the Jets, he had 0 playmakers. The Panthers are just so mismanaged. It's a very mismanaged organization. Look what's going on with Bryce Young. I mean, let's look at that. I mean, I think Darnold had a shoulder injury when he was with the Panthers also. So Darnold has thrown for 476 yards while completing 72% of his passes in the first 3 games. I mean, he's thrown 4 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. The Vikings have Justin Jefferson. He's a real playmaker, and Darnold can throw the ball. The Vikings, come on now. They're playing the Green Bay Packers next, but guess what? They've already beaten the 49ers and the Texans. So they have beaten good teams, 2 teams that were in the playoff. And, the Texans won a game, and the 49ers, they were in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, what can you say? I mean, they are what they are. This team is for real. And the Vikings defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, a.k.a. Tua hater and Dolphins whistleblower, that Brian Flores has turned the Vikings defense into a top 5 defense so far. So this team is built offensively and defensively, and this team is definitely for real, and they are a true contender. So, I mean, again, they are who they are. They are contenders.
All right. First lady, they are contenders. And watch out for them purple people eaters. They'll sneak under the wire. And the next thing you know, true, you might have to play them. First lady, over to you for more Fluffy.
After winning their season opener, the Chicago Bears lost to the Houston Texans. Their rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams, was battered and blitzed, and Houston made him look like a rookie. Well, he is a rookie. If Caleb doesn't perform like C.J. Stroud by the end of the season, did the Bears once again whiff at drafting a franchise quarterback, or prove the current coaching crew is a failure? All right, panel defend. Caleb doesn't have to be CJ. He just needs to keep getting better each week, and the Bears' offense showed promise. Spit-face defend. All right. Well, Caleb, he's people just need to try and allow this young man to be the quarterback that they know he can be. So what they need to do is they need to allow him to just go out and make the good passes. They need to design an offense around Caleb, so he doesn't have to be the hero all the time. He just needs to make great passes. He needs to be able to use the playmakers that they have. They have DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift. They need to run the ball more too. That's one of the issues with the Bears. They're not running the ball, and they can't rely on Caleb to make these heroic type passes to win these games. So the Bears they just need to let him show promise from game to game. Now, if you make it to the playoffs, you make it to the playoffs, but they cannot expect him to have the year that C.J. Stroud had. I mean, C.J. Stroud had a very good team surrounding him. So it makes a big difference when you have a good team around a young quarterback. Now, everybody has this philosophy that you get a young quarterback, you draft You to get a young quarterback, but then you make sure that the team around him is through the draft, through free agent, because you have that quarterback on the rookie salary. Now, the Bears, I know they really need to make it to the playoffs, but that should not be their goal. Their goal is for them to get better week by week, and the offense is going to get better with Caleb, but don't allow Caleb to be a hero. Just allow him to progress gradually. All right, it's time to flip it. Panel defend. If Caleb doesn't show C.J. Stroud talent by the end of the season, it ain't him. It's time to get rid of a failing coaching crew. Spit-face defend.
If I'm going to bring up the Cowboys for one thing, because if the Cowboys go 1-3, heads will roll. If Caleb ain't smoking by the end of the season, heads will roll. And it won't even be a matter of if they make the playoffs. If we look at Caleb Williams at the end of the season and he is looking pedestrian, confused, discombobulated, and and there are question marks about him like there was about Justin Fields, it ain't Caleb. It's the coach. And all of them. And I dare say the GM need to go. Because then that's called, as Jim McMahon said, where good quarterbacks go to die. The Bears. Now, because here you had two top drafted quarterbacks, and you look up at the end of this season, and Caleb Williams looks like, well, was that a good choice for the Bears? And there are a whole bunch of question marks. Oh, no, it's time. But the problem the Bears got is that this is the coach's last stand. If the Bears don't get in the playoffs, even if Caleb Williams is showing that that they made a good pick at quarterback, that coach is he is on the hot seat. He is already on the hot seat, and if they don't get in the playoffs, Caleb Williams better show that he got C.J. Stroud talent. Because otherwise they'll look up and say, look, you couldn't get Caleb Williams with all his talent on a roll. So, like I said, they are already, that coaching crew is already on the hot seat. And it's going to get hotter. That's all I'm saying, First Lady.
It's getting hot. Well, yeah, that's some of the problems with Caleb Williams now is their head coach, Matt Eberflus. I think I'm pronouncing his name right.
Eberflus?
But anyway, huh?
Eberflus?
Eberflus. Okay, Eberflus. The problem is he is the biggest problem for Caleb Williams. It is the coaching problem if he doesn't show that he could be C.J. Stroud. Because the problem is Eberflus is a defensive coach, and he really has not really made the offense a priority. And that is one of the biggest concerns is for Caleb and his growth. And that, offensive coaches understand and learning to be aggressive, and it's great to build a quarterback confidence, where if you have a defensive coach like Matt Eberflus, that's all they care about. Let's look at Tua in Miami with Flores. Flores was a defensive coach. He didn't want Tua. He didn't, think Tua was the right person. And Matt Eberflus has been kind of critical of Caleb so far. even though the problems really haven't been with Kayla. I think the problem is with that offense. And they need to be able to run the ball. They don't run the ball. So they're depending on this poor young fella to be a hero. He can't always be a hero. He needs to have a well-balanced offense in order to be good and to be great. And you just can't expect him to throw the ball constantly all the time. You got to have some play action. You got to make the defense honest a lot. And I don't think they're doing that with Caleb. So, yeah, it's time for the coach to go. It's time for the coach to go. This offense is not where it needs to be, and they need to bring in an offensive guru as their head coach. That's what a lot of people are doing now. When you look at the Shanahan, his tree, you have Daniels and the Dolphins. Look what they did to Tua. Everybody thought Tua was a lost cause, but look what Tua did when he had Daniels as his coach, because he is an offensive-minded head coach. And that's what Caleb Williams needs. It's time for them to go. It's time for them to go. All right, Spitface, over to you.
All right, it's time for and C.J. Stroud, even though DeMeco Ryans is a defensive coach, apparently he had the right people on the offense. So if on the other side of the break we have another performance from Siyiid on Shout Out Part 2, please stay tuned. Hit it.
Welcome back. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout out from the crew. Spitface, over to you.
All right, we have another performance from Siyiid. DJ, let's hear Way It Go.
Solidarity, fortitude up inside the soul. Cause ain't no cure for depression, just like the common cold. They say a life full of joy is sweeter than Alamo. Life lessons that should be up on the honor roll. Caught some low blows from people who walk the higher road. Try to break me, I think I was made of iron bones. Iron promised lands for the triumph, they say the giants wrong. And once I'm inside it, I know that I am home. And if we talk limits that be the sky alone, never gave the power to people to say I'm wired wrong. I'm charged up, I'm surging, I break the circuit. Remember that I'm working, not perfect and not deserving. Determined when I'm nervous to know that the table's turning. Back in my direction, I sit and I wait in earnest. Eager so my speech is replete with the seeds of purpose. Confused when they heard that you think I was speaking German, huh? Mama, I done made it though. Remember I was begging stuff and thought about just saying love. Though I would never say it though. They said I make it if I take it slow. Yeah, I guess I had to wait enough. Oh yeah, I guess that's just the way it goes. Yeah, I guess that's just the way it goes. Raging storms turn to calm seas and watch me up on the shore beach with the palm trees. No beach chair in my inner peace like the Maldives. And I be lying to say every day is all ease. No, please, some days are cold, I need long sleeves. Of all keys, the major one when it all seems like the dead of winter and you just witnessed it all freeze. Don't blow away with the wind and move by your heartstrings. Peace of mind could be hard to find like the car keys. How do I drive? Trying to stay full of drive while trying to stay in the line. Thanking God I'm alive. You swear we paying the fines and the payment I can't oblige, though. They say it's dark before the dawn comes. I had to wake up in the long run. It's bad the worst is where I've gone from before the battle in the field that was hard won. It threatened everything, that's a large sum. But bigger picture, you're richer when it's all done. Mama, I done made it up. Remember I was dating stuff. And thought about just saying look. Though I would never say it though. They said I'd make it if I take it slow. Yeah, I guess I had to wait enough. Oh yeah, I guess that's just the way it goes. Yeah, I guess that's just the way it goes.
All right, that was Way It Go. I'm going to give the track a shout-out. I think the brother is just smooth and grooving. First Lady, what's the verdict?
I'm going to shout it out, definitely. I told you I like his verses. The flow of his rapping is great. Then he added, singing, so I'm definitely shouting it out. Siyiid, you got a shout out from us.
All right. Now, that is the end of shout-out. Check out Siyiid, and he spells that Siyiid on YouTube and the Old Grumpy Radio Network. If you would like to be heard or have any comments, please send your emails and tracks to talent@oldgrumpyradio.com. First Lady, over to you.
All right. It's time for the picks. It's already the start of the season. We're on week 4, and the production crew and my assistants, we don't got the picks, the results. We'll definitely have it for next week. All right, so let's move on to week 4 picks. Thursday gotcha game. All right, this is worth 33 million points. Wow, we're starting really high. All right, the Cowboys versus the G-Men, the Giants. Okay. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to go with the Giants. Even though I know this is a must-win for the Cowboys, I'm going with the Giants. Dizzy Mac is going with the Cowboys. Spitface, who you going with?
I don't want to go for either one of them. I would just want to skip this
pick. You got to pick someone.
Yeah, I want to skip this pick altogether. I'm like, oh no. But First Lady, I've been on the edge. All the history say the and then the Cowboys are in desperation. They got to win this game. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the pick.
Well, that's a pick that you don't want to bet on because you're not sure. All right, let's go to winners and losers. 10 million points. Vikings versus the Packers. Now I don't know. Dizzy Pack has the Vikings. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm gonna go with the Cheeseheads.
So you're going with the Packers.
Packers.
Oh no, is Jordan Love playing? I don't think he's playing. He said he put out some tweets that he's getting there, getting better. I don't know. If he's playing, I would say the Packers. But you know what? I said that the Vikings are real contenders. I had a stronger point of view for them being real contenders. I'm going with the Vikings. I'm going to join Dizzy Mac on that one. We're going with the Vikings. All right, Eagles versus Bucks. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going with the Bucks.
Oh, really? Going with the Bucks. All right, I'm gonna go with the Eagles. Dizzy Mac is going with the Eagles also. Commanders versus Cardinals. All right, I am going to go with the Commanders. They are on a high with Jalen Daniels. I'm going with the Commanders. Dizzy Mac has the Cardinals. Who do you have, Spitface?
I'm rolling with Kyler. I'm going with the
rolling with Kyler. All right. Kyler's only thrown one touchdown pass in each of the 3 games, so he hasn't done too hot with his. I mean, he's had some yards, but not passes. All right, so you rolling with the Cardinals. All right. Bills versus Ravens. Wow. Dizzy Mac has the Ravens. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm rolling with them Ravens.
Woo. All right. I think I'm going to roll with the Ravens also. I'm going to roll with the Ravens. Seahawks versus Lions. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going with them. They're Detroit Lions.
All right. I'm going with the Lions also. And Dizzy Mac has the Seahawks. That's unusual. He got the Seahawks. All right.
Gino playing pretty good.
Yeah, Gino. All right. All right, let's get to over, under, and push for 5 million points. Dak Prescott, 300 yards passing. I am going to say over. Dizzy Mac has over. What do you have, Spitface?
I'm going with the under.
Going with the under. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, 4 passing TDs. Dizzy Mac has under. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going under.
Now, who they playing? Who they playing this week?
And
Panthers or somebody? Who they playing?
The Chiefs are playing. I just had that up. And
yeah, who the Chiefs playing? They must be. They must be playing somebody weak, but I'm gonna go with under.
They're playing the Chargers. They're playing the Chargers.
Oh no! I'm going with under. They not that 4 touchdown. That's a little bit too much. All right. Spitface, Lamar Jackson, 100 rushing yards.
Under.
You going with under? All right. Yeah, he's playing the. I'm gonna go with. Under also. Dizzy Mac has over. He has some having over. Yeah, he has them over. Aaron Rodgers, 3 passing touchdowns. I'm going to go with under. Dizzy Mac has under. What do you have, Spitface?
I'm going with push.
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 Yeah, push. All right, Geno Smith, 3 touchdowns. Who we just say they playing the Lions now? 3 touchdowns. I'm going with under. Dizzy Mac has over. What do you have, Spitface? I know that's what I said. 3 touchdowns.
I'm going under.
You're going under. Okay. All right. Well, Spitface, what is your top story to watch this week?
The fallout from the Giants-Cowboys game.
The ball. Okay. Well, my top story to watch this week is I'm going to go with the women, WNBA. I'm going to say the game, the series between the Vegas team versus New York. That was last year's finals. Now they're playing to see who will get into the finals. So that's the top story that I'm thinking of watching, especially after all of the situation with Caitlin Clark and the fans from Indiana. They've been putting racial comments about the WNBA players. I mean, come on now. That sound like that MAGA crew there. I don't know.
I was just going to say that we don't need none of that nonsense.
No, we don't. No, we don't at all. All right, join us as we honor our veteran women on November 16, 2024 in Houston, Texas, and streaming live on your favorite devices. To learn more, please visit honorourveteranwomen.com. Check out our current and previous episodes at brawspantiesandsports.com and our Facebook page, DPN Sports. This is Cheryl Smith, the First Lady of Sports Talk, Spitface, and you have been listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. See you next week.